Thank you, first of all. Thank you, Dov, for always helping and always being present with us. Dov is an active member for long years. I know him for long years, an active member of several communities. He's traveling around. Now he's speaking from Nepal. He was before in Paris and before, I don't know. He's a man that traveled a lot, that have seen a lot. And he is my friend, and I am really happy to have him here supporting the initiative of Agile Africa, sharing his insights about remote facilitations and about tips and hints to foster people on working remotely and not stopping engaging with communities. Um, Engaging with communities, it could be done also remotely. So thank you, Dov, for your presence with us today. We are really honored to have you with us. Thank you. The stage is yours.
Pleasure is all mine. Okay, thanks a lot. I prepared some pyrotechnics that didn't work, and I don't want to waste your time. So let's start by sharing my screen and presenting to you what I have to present. So this is a session which is about facilitation, is about remote facilitation, is about thinking what is our role as a facilitator, and I prepared it in a way, as I like to experiment a lot, so it's an experiment. What we're going to do is to have an intro, then I'll ask you a question, and we'll talk about this a lot, as you can see here, which is, what is the thing that is essential for a meeting to succeed, and what are the implications of this? And I'll talk a lot about what support can we have in making meetings awesome. Then I'll talk about the Meeting Spicer, which is a tool that I created. I guess I won't do this part. I'll just tell you as a teaser what you're missing when we get there. And we'll end, surprise, surprise, with the closure. Is it good for everyone?
Yes.
So, yes, great. So let's start. Okay, so let's start with the intro. Yeah, we do this like this. Yes, okay, great. So I would like to start with a question. And the question is this. I want you all to think silently for 20 seconds. What outcome do I expect from this meeting? And by the way, what outcome would I love to have? So as we don't have a lot of time, I would like to take some silence to think about this. 20 seconds, and I'll tell you when it's over. And I'm doing the same exercise. Okay, thanks a lot. And now a small presentation of who I am. So first of all, my name is Dov Tsal. You can find a lot of stuff about me in a site called dovtsal.com. By the way, I see only 6 people. Am I missing it? No, yes, I have, my window is not big enough. Okay, so you can find a lot about me there. In a nutshell, I'm an Agile coach. I guess most of you know what an Agile coach is. My approach, I think, is a bit different from an Agile coach because I focus a lot, not on processes, but on purpose and mindfulness and stuff like this. I know all coaches say this, but we won't go into that. Another thing is Taoist. So I consider myself a self-proclaimed Taoist, which means that I'm inspired a lot in my viewpoint of life, in my coaching, in whatever, from an ancient book that was written supposedly 2,500 years ago, which is the Book of Tao, which in a very, very short nutshell says shit happens. So the world has no meaning. Whatever happens is the only thing that happens, and the only thing that exists is here and now. There's a lot more to go into that. Whenever you will invite me for a session about Taoism, I'd love to talk about this. I heard that today Marwan talked about this. I'll see in the recording. And the last thing, I'm a collaboration superpowers facilitator, trainer, or whatever you want to call it, which means that I currently help people have impactful, effective online meetings. And we'll talk about what does it mean, these strange words, impactful, what is it? What makes a meeting tick? And before I start, I would like to first minimize this so we don't have any visual noise, and two, to ask you to set some ground rules for today. Before that, what's the goal of the session for me? So I know all of you thought what you want for me. What I would like to do is do all that I think is possible in 50 minutes to make you a better facilitator. So this is the goal of the session for me. Think of what you wanted from this session, if it aligns to what I described, and let's see what happens. Okay, ground rules, please have your camera on. This is an advice that I would give to any meeting facilitator. Just like you don't allow people in a real room to talk like this, but you ask them to show their face, I would assume that anyone who doesn't have his camera on is not present. They took a coffee break or they're in the toilet, they're not here. And I would ask the people who are present to show their presence. This helps me as a facilitator. It also helps you because when I talk and I see people going like this or like this, as a whole image, I know that something has to be expanded or not. Another one, if you could, just for my curiosity, and I'll do the same, rename yourself to add the place where you are, because I'd love to know, now that we're in a global environment or whatever, to know where people are. So you go to the 3 dots above your image, and you do edit profile, not picture, but I don't, rename, yes, you do rename, and you add in parentheses the place where you are in right now. So I'm in Nepal, just to have some context. Hello, Musin. Nice to see your face. Okay, and the third thing is I need a facilitator. So all of this, by the way, everything that I'm doing now is a preparation, but it's also hints of how to facilitate well. As a facilitator, you don't have to take the role of everything on yourself. I'm going to talk now. I don't have the time to look around to see if I'm following the time, to see if someone has questions or not. And I would like someone to take this role. Paula volunteered, right? You still volunteer?
I still volunteer.
Great. Okay, so what I would like you to do is one, to be the timekeeper. So I wrote here on every card, when does it end? Okay, you see, so this thing here should end in start plus 5 minutes, and the next sections should end in time plus 40 minutes. If you see that I'm going overboard, don't hesitate to interrupt me and to say, listen, you have only 3 minutes left. Okay?
Okay.
Deal? Great.
Yes, how will I see that?
And also,
Quick question. How will I see this as you move forward with your presentation? Can you send me the link in the
so
chat?
you just see it on the screen. You see, so here I was in the intro. I will stay on the screen all the time.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. So and also I would like you to be a mood keeper. I would love you to say, I think you're losing them. Could you please re-explain? Or you're going too fast, or stuff that like be a mood meter for me. Is it okay? You're frozen. No. Okay. I assume it's okay. So next topic is a question. So I have a question for you. which is, Ula, too many things are open. Let's see how I close them. These are the pains of using tools that you don't master. So let's close this and open this. And now we're here. Okay. Wow. Yes. So I would like you to think about this question. If there's one thing that's essential for meetings to work right, for meetings to be effective, what would it be? Would it be to start on time, to have an agenda, to end on time, have action items, something else? If there's one thing that you should advise people to take care of, what would it be? Is the question clear?
Yes.
Awesome. So now I would like us to split into breakout rooms of, let's say, how many are we? Not including me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3 breakout rooms. Can someone like Marwan, who's smiling, can you put us into breakout rooms and assign 4 minutes? So we have 1 minute spare. And in the rooms, what I would like you to do is, 1, choose a speaker, meaning when you exit the room, who will represent the team? Choose the answer, of course. And then for the speaker to raise their hand when you get out of the room. Is this clear? Samia, are you with us or not? Probably not. Okay, so we'll have a room of 2. Marwan, can you split us into meeting rooms? 4 minutes, please. You're on mute.
Should I split in 2 rooms?
Why not? Let's do it 2 rooms.
Okay, I will do that. Okay, I will do.
There are 17 participants
yeah,
at the
there's
moment.
more participants, even 4 rooms. Do it into 4 rooms, okay?
4 rooms? Okay.
Yes.
You will be going also, but you can always go out to the main
Okay.
room. Okay.
No worries.
Okay, it's done.
Dov, how much?
Oh,
Hello.
hello.
Yeah.
So it's just 2 of us, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, we'll wait for some more people, it looks like.
So where are you from, Alex?
I'm currently in Reading in the UK, just outside of London.
Ah, great.
So yeah, pretty far away from Africa, to be honest. But my boss Bontley is giving a presentation later, so I was just interested to hear it. And then I joined this morning, and they were such good presentation. I've stayed on all the time. It's really good.
So you mainly stayed in this room, or you moved to other rooms as well?
Well, I noticed a lot of them are French speaking, so I'm probably, as a British person, I'm not the best French speaker, even though that's the only other language I know. So I've stuck with the English speaking route, to be honest. Oh dear, never mind. Thank God that the language of business is English. That's all I can say.
Who knows? Perhaps you should move to Spanish or French.
Yeah. I've worked in pretty much every country in Europe, and luckily, every time I've moved to that country, everyone speaks English for me. I was working in Sweden for 6 months, and every meeting room I'd go into, they'd all be fluently speaking Swedish, and then they just instantly switched to English. I just felt like a bit of a party pooper, to be honest, all the time. But anyway, yeah, it's the British way. Just turning up and expecting everyone to communicate with you. Anyway, so
We lost Saida.
yeah, it looks like it's just us 2.
Yeah. Do you know what we're supposed to do? Because I'm not-
Yes. So I think the plan is, what do you think is really important in setting up a meeting, right? So is it the agenda? Is it the kind of rules of engagement, that kind of stuff? And we got to choose a speaker as well when we go back into the main room.
So let's say that. May I propose that the speaker will be not me?
Great volunteer. Yeah, sure, I don't mind. I think, okay, so talking about meetings then, I think the most important thing to me, and I just keep on thinking about Elon Musk's approach to meetings, is like, they should have some value, that there should be a reason for them, and everyone should be agreed and understand why they're there. And that's the most important thing, right? You've got to get some value out of that time. Yeah. Otherwise, you're just wasting everyone's time. That pisses me off more. And it's got worse with remote working, I found. There's just like, my entire calendar is full of 30-minute meetings. It's just like, what is the point of them? And I sit for 8 hours a day at my dining room table, just sitting on half an hour WebExes. And it's just, what is the point of this? So I really think making sure you're getting some clear value out of every interaction you have remotely, because it's really draining, an online call or an online meeting. So it needs to be high value. Otherwise, just don't bother. I think personally, that's my main point on meetings.
Yeah, I agree. From my point of view, there's two points that needs to be addressed in a meeting. The first one is,
oh, we're gonna get cut off.
No.
quick, what's your point?
Do not debrief, but certify. Means that when you enter the room, you'll not just read the material or the support or the present. Yeah. You need to discuss whether it's a good proposition or not, make actions. Because if you spend too much time reading it, that means that people don't have to read it beforehand. So
okay.
You gotta suppose that it's read, and what's the point of that presentation? What do we do with it?
Yeah.
Does everyone what's called do not debrief but certify.
Yeah. Get to the point as soon as possible, right? Yeah. Don't spend 15 minutes setting up the meeting. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because there's that one director who doesn't even know why he's there, and you have to like spend 15 minutes explaining the entire meeting for them.
Go back. So just, I hope that you appreciate it. Just for you, I'm sitting outside and the mosquitoes bite me. I hope it's worth it at the end. Okay, so I hope that all of you got to a conclusion. Can you raise your hand and say what is the answer of your group? Yes. So who wants to start? Virginia.
Okay. Hello. So in our group, we felt communication is very important and being able to give everybody a voice. So many times the most intelligent, thought-provoking people are the ones who don't speak. And when they do speak, it's a wow. So and also to have a purpose. So why are you there? What's the goal? What's the objective? Those are our main thoughts.
Awesome. So you said communication and purpose. Mustafa? Yep. When you're on mute, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So Mohsin and I, what we discussed was that if we achieve the objectives that we had set out to achieve, given the constraints, so we may not achieve all the objectives, maybe all the participants didn't show up. So, given the constraints, if we achieve maximum number of objectives, it's successful.
And you pass the ball to who didn't speak yet? So Alex, you raised your hand, yes?
Yes, so in our team, I think the two main points we were saying is don't waste time setting up the meeting. Don't assume that everyone's pre-read the material or whatever. You don't spend 15 minutes of the meeting explaining why you're there, because then you're kind of not getting to the crux of why you've set it up. And my point was, I've got about 1 million meetings in my calendar now, half an hour ones all day long, from 8 hours a day, and it's just there's no point in them, most of them. So actually getting some value out of them and understanding why you're there, a bit like Virginia said, is the most important thing. because people just seem to put in meetings now just to have a chat about everything. And it's really draining having remote meetings. I find it way more kind of painful to go onto these calls than I used to do just having a chat in the corridor with someone, right? So it really needs to have some clear value. Otherwise, I shouldn't be attending, really. I just think of Elon Musk and just hanging up on people sounds like a good idea to me most of the time, because I could be doing something productive rather than just sitting listening to something I could have gotten an email.
So you say just listening is not worth it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anyone who didn't speak? Please speak up, because I don't see everyone. Is there any team that didn't speak up? Okay, I'll count to 5 because I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so may I challenge all of your great answers, or not all of them, but as a sample. One, I'm not sure that the meeting should have a predefined purpose. Most great meetings that I know had a purpose that emerges from them. When you meet just for a coffee, and out comes a beautiful idea or initiative. And there's some meeting where you say, my purpose is this, and everyone is disengaged. So I'm not sure that the predefined purpose is a good one. We can argue about this later, but unless you have very strong opinions that I'm wrong. Okay? What else? Yeah, assume that everyone read the material. In my experience, most people don't read the material. Assuming this is really dangerous, because people come and everyone assumes that everyone else read the material, so no one speaks because everyone thinks that everyone else knows what the meeting is about, but in fact, no one does. So, what else? Virginia, you said communication. Communication is not just text. Communication is also facial expression. So someone cannot speak but still be very present, and someone can speak but read from a paper and not be there.
Dov,
Yes.
if I may, you have a terrible sound problem. If you can solve it, because we have a hard time hearing you.
I don't know how to solve this. But okay. Is it everyone or is it just some?
Yes. I think that you have like everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in English, you say merdalo, right?
Is this better now?
Oh, much better. But
Yeah.
Okay.
change.
Definitely.
So we'll see what will happen. Now you hear a lot of noise from the background. Perhaps I'll move to a quieter room. Bear with me. So
That's adaptation, Dov. That's great.
Well, this is small stuff. As you saw, I had much bigger challenges. The one thing that I propose is the most important and crucial thing is sound effect of a drum roll is present. So let's it's this thing, okay, is to be present. So I would suggest that to have a good meeting, you don't have to have an agenda, and you don't have to start on time, and you don't have to prepare. What you have to do is to be there totally. And your goal as someone who facilitates the meeting is to help people be there totally. And I may remind you, because I'm sure all of you had this experience, that two engaged people are in the meeting, and suddenly 4 disengaged people come into the meeting, and the meeting turns into rubbles. Okay, and so one thing is presence of the people. Another thing, which is not less important than this, is the presence of the whole group. So the whole group, when it comes into a room, it has a presence of its own. It wants to go somewhere. And the more you help this amorphic thing to go somewhere and not push it in your direction and someone else pushes it in the other, the thing that will emerge will be impactful. So that's my suggestion of the answer to the question. And now I want to talk about this. And in fact, this presentation is exactly about this. Unfortunately, I have to minimize your window. So I won't see any of you. Please communicate with me only by sound. And one other thing that I would like to do is, because I talk a lot, and I would love you to be part of this meeting, I would like you to have a shared document where you can, hold on, I have to go back here, when you can share your thoughts, ask questions, and have a mutual summary of everything, all of the insights and ideas and questions that you have here. And now for this, I have to find how I see the chat window.
It's below.
Interesting. Yeah, only because I will stop sharing for a second. And now I see the chat, great. And this is the link of the document in which I prepared for this, which you can keep to the end and where you can put any questions or ideas that you have. And I promise to answer all of them offline if you write them in the document. Okay, so let's go back into the sharing. This one, yes. And sorry for short intermission. Yes, okay. So, and now that I share this, I would like to talk to you about what does it mean to be present? Because presence is a nice word. How do I minimize this? Good. Okay. And in fact, this is, if you want, the meat of our meeting tonight. So, what are the components of presence according to me, if you want? The first thing is to connect you to your purpose. So when you have a meeting, the first thing that I invite you to do is to understand what is the purpose of the meeting? What do you want to achieve? How do you want to change the world by having this assembly of people in this time frame? And for each item, I wrote at least one practice that I propose you to try, and this one is the 3 whys. So I'll give you an example about this meeting, by the way. I didn't think of it or prepare, but just so you understand how it works. Why are we having this talk now? Because I care about impact. Why do I care about impact? Because I think impact will make the world a better place. Why do I want to make the world a better place? Because there's tons of potential. And now I know that the purpose of me talking here is to unleash a potential in the world. This is everything that I'm trying to do in this meeting. And if by some chance something doesn't work and I get to talk to you about how to unleash the potential in the world and leave all the meeting aside, it will be a good meeting for me. All right. So the first tip that I would give you is connect to the purpose of the meeting. Why the heck or the fuck or the whatever do you want this thing to happen? Second thing, especially today when it's so hard to ask someone to wake at 2 a.m. in the US to have a meeting, consider alternatives. Do you really have to have a full hour of discussing something, or can you prepare stuff for 50 minutes and then have a 10-minute chat? And there's a lot of tools to do this. You have Trello and you have shared docs like I just shared with you, where I can send this in advance and collect your questions, and I don't have to waste your time in thinking of your questions. You can think of questions in the time zone and time frame and space that is comfortable for you and not for me. The next thing is invite clearly and generously. What do I mean by this? How do you ask people to come to a meeting? Not everyone at the same time, yes? Anyone? What do you do to ask people to come?
You send an invitation.
Yes, great, thank you. And can you define what an invitation is? If you look up in the invitation.
The invitation
if you look up in the
should
dictionary.
include, yeah, for me, it should include the objective the goal of the meeting with its objectives.
The time and a place, isn't it?
Time and place, yeah,
sorry to cut you.
Definitely. Time and place.
The first
exactly.
thing about an invitation is the option to say no. When I invite you to a party, do you have to come? Or do you say, yeah, I'll come if I want, and please excuse me because I have other stuff to do. So the first basic things of an invitation, that it's an invitation. Use this to everyone's advantage. Invite the people who don't want to come not to come. Yeah. Have only the people who are engaged in the room. Okay, so invite clearly, I mean, explain, as you just said, what is the purpose? What is my goal in life in this meeting? But also generously, allow people and celebrate the fact that they don't come. Give them the space not to come. So up to now, we thought of the goal. We thought of how to invite them. And the next thing that I think that we should have, and just if you look around here, you see how hard it is to get out of people, is to be seen. I'd love people to show a presence there. I want people to be a face that I can read, that I can react to. And that I know that Zora, for example, sorry for naming names, is there listening, and that she will not pop out of the blue and say, no, 10 minutes after I said something. I know that currently the meeting, as I see it, has 8 participants. Perhaps other people are half listening, but for me, they're not there. And in fact, I would invite you, and this is one of the things that I teach in my training, to have an etiquette, to have a rule. If someone is here, they have camera on. And if they have camera off, it means that they're on a phone call, they're on a coffee break, they're in the bathroom, they're not here. Just like you're allowed to leave a real meeting room and go somewhere, the fact that Zoa is here means there's an, sorry again for saying your name, that there's an empty chair where she used to sit before. Okay, so this is really important. Another thing that's important, and do you see a difference between how I look now and how I looked before? The difference is before I was outside with great light on my face, and currently the face that radiates is the light that radiates is the light of the computer. And if I turn this light off, you see that I look like in a witness protection program. Okay. So teach people how to light the face so that they are seen. Okay, make them aware that they are here and they want to be present, and this is presence, to be seen. And another thing is, this is something that I love in this new age. To have a nice jacket to come to a meeting would cost you a fortune. But when you come to a meeting now, you can choose a background that represents what you want to be, that represents how you want to be dressed. This is part of a dress code or freedom or whatever. It's another aspect that you bring into the room. It's not only your face, it's also this thing behind me. Use it well and be aware how other people see you with this. And by the way, I would always invite you to have a window with your face as part of the mosaic that you have. So that if you do this, you are aware that people see half of your face. Okay? Or I don't know, if the camera falls, you see that you're not. Okay, so okay. So next thing, we said be seen. Next thing is be heard. So as you said before, if I sound bad, it's my problem to fix. And usually, currently, I'm in a place with a bad Wi-Fi. But usually, before I go to an important meeting, I try to record in Zoom, a 1 minute segment just with me to see how I'm heard. And a great tip that I can give you is the thing that I mentioned now a few times, which is CRISP. So CRISP is a soft, I don't know, a component, a software component that reduces noise in an intelligent way. So I'll give you a demo. Let's say, do you hear this?
Yep.
Yes.
Now I'm on Zoom. Sorry, Chris. And tell me to hear this.
Okay. So do you still hear me well?
Oh, it's a bit.
No.
Okay. So now do you hear this?
Yes.
Do you hear the same?
We can't hear you or the banging now.
Well, at first I heard the banging, but not you, and then I didn't hear either one.
Okay, so it's not a good demo. I think I have a problem of resources on my machine. I'll go back to the video, to the audio before. Do you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So even if it didn't work, I would advise you to try CRISP for yourself, because from my experience, it reduces construction site noise that I have here, and dog barking, and even kids that annoy you, and music. It leaves your noise. It's a technology that is used in iPhone. Try it. And by the way, I left the link. I can share a link in the document. This link can give you 2 weeks for free, and it gives me 2 months for free. So what I would advise, if you know each other, pass the quiz between you, so each one of you will get 2 months for free. And start with the link that I share in the document.
I was just watching a video about CRISP, and they were saying that tinkling in glasses is the one thing it can't remove.
Okay.
So I would recommend, if you're using example, clap your hands is the best one, supposedly.
Let's try. You hear this?
Yes.
Okay, now let's try with Zoom. Thank you for the tip. With CRISP, sorry. So, you hear this?
No.
Okay, so that's the demo. Thanks a lot.
No worries.
But stay with this one because it takes less CPU. So we said be seen and be heard. The next thing is to hear and to see. So to hear, headphones is great. And by the way, headphones with a speaker will make you be heard better. Unfortunately, I can't get one now due to the lockdown. And CRISP is also great for you to hear better. So it not only filters noises that you generate for the others, but also noises that others generate for you to hear better. Okay, so now, as I said here, the next thing is see. And to see, I mean see in a present sense, let's say. I don't know how to move the window. Okay, good. So,
Dov, can you turn up your volume?
I can talk closer to the mic. Is it better now?
No.
No.
Okay, and now?
It is.
It's better.
Okay, great. Okay. So, and by the way, this is a great facilitation. Don't be afraid when something is not working to jump in and say, could you please, I don't know what, change the volume, because most people don't dare to, and then no one understands. Thank you, Virginia. Okay, so we said C, and in the C, one thing that I adore in Zoom is the hide view. So I don't know in what view do you see people now, but when you turn the hide view, when you turn the big image where you see all the speakers, suddenly when you widen your vision, you start seeing patterns. You start seeing, like when I do this, everyone does this waving sound. Okay, so I know that people agree with me. Everyone does this. Oh, I have a problem. Everyone has their screen off. I have a really big problem. And it's something that you learn how to do by not focusing on a certain individual, but widening your view to see all the people who are present at the same time. Okay, is this clear so far?
Yes.
One suggestion that I have for you, a great DIY kit, and I put it also in the document, is to communicate visually. So you can buy cards that can tell someone you're on mute or there's background noises, but you can also create some yourself. And this is a great example that I found. See, so what you can create is 7 cards with 2 faces. One of them says yes, the other says no. So do you agree with me? Everyone yes, one no. Okay. Something that says you're on mute, or please mute, or okay, you go first when 2 people start talking together. Or can I add something? Please repeat. Elmo, do you know Elmo? The guy from the Muppet Show? Okay, so Elmo is an acronym for enough, let's move on. So when I will talk now for 10 minutes on the same point and you really understood what I want to say, then do this. A warning about Elmo, have this as part of the protocol that the team agrees on in advance. It can be really insulting when you tell someone enough, let's move on. Have this part of the language that the team is allowed to use.
So the challenge I've had with that is that someone in the room might want to move on, but the rest of the group might not want to, and you're skipping a really valuable discussion because one person in the room wants to move on. Is there some? Would you kind of vote on it or something? I don't know. It just feels like if one person has the power to move on the entire 20 people in the room.
I would say, Elmo. So I would say, use your instincts. If one person wants to move, I say, okay, I see you understand, but I see that most of the people didn't. I would love to have 1 more minute to talk about it.
Sure.
You should sense the room, and the real issue with presence is that I can't give you exercises to be present. I can give you exercise to exercise presence.
Yeah.
You can feel if the time is right or not. Someone reminds you that you talk too much, but when you see the image, or Paula will tell me here because I delegated this role to her, she will tell me, yeah, it's okay. Let's take 2 more minutes because I see that a lot of people shake their heads because the whole screen in the Hive does this, except for one person who does this. Okay? I'll be right back, and I have to go. Again, it's a pair of cards. I can't hear you, or you have background noise. And the last one is connection troubles, and you're frozen. So copy this, make a DIY session with your team so everyone has their cards. And what I really like about this is that it's 7 cards that have 2 faces. It's really easy to find the card that you want. It's not 14 cards, and now you have to search what you want to say. Okay, so let's move on, right? And the last thing I wanted to say here, that there are no observers. Be aware that anyone in the room, even if you think that you're just a listener, you're part of the thing that affects the meeting. So you can't just drop in. The fact that you drop in has an impact on the meeting. Questions so far? At least one question.
I have a question.
Okay.
So I understand presence, communication. I'm a little concerned about not having a purpose and having people jump into a meeting where everyone's on the same page, but they don't really know what's going on, and not clarifying purpose beforehand so that they know what the meeting's going to be about or what the goals, the takeaways are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So first of all, how do you make sure people are all on the same page? And secondly, how would you let somebody know that they're not in a very gracious way?
Gracious is not my style, as you know. So this one I can tell you. I didn't say that presence is not important. I didn't say that starting on time is not important. I said that the only thing that will make a meeting live or die is presence. Of course, having a presence is awesome. Only we have a presence, we have a purpose, and after 1 hour, we totally missed our purpose and we got amazing stuff. Is the meeting a failure or a success?
Success.
Okay, so that's what I mean. A goal, a purpose is great as a way to align the people about where we start, but don't insist to end where you want it to end.
Okay, and I would say that I communicate very well with engineers, and they are the largest class of people that I do communicate with. They themselves get frustrated if there's no purpose. They themselves get frustrated if at the end of the meeting, even though you came out with wonderful stuff, it's not what we said we were going to talk about. So how do you facilitate them or help them move past that?
I would say focus on what we achieved. Right? Like it's another discussion, but I'll tell you in bullet points what I would answer you if this was this discussion. Reality doesn't exist, and most people believe it does. Results are ambiguous, and to resolve ambiguity is up to the person who knows how to resolve ambiguity. Okay, so as a coach, what you can do is say, listen, this meeting was awesome. We wanted to do this, but we achieved 10 times more. This is great. If you teach them this, after 10 times, it will become their internal voice.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So where are we? We finished this. Now, is all of this clear so far? Because I would like now to show you a tool that I've created that may help you in your meetings. Any clarification questions? Is anyone lost? I'll give you a chance to express yourself.
I guess probably I agree with Paula in a way. I've been in a lot of positive meetings that don't seem to go anywhere. And I don't know, I've been on like repeating meetings where it's really positive, everyone's engaged, and we just talk for an hour and a half, and then you come back a week later and you talk for another hour and a half, and everyone's really positive, you're really great, and actually you never kind of solve the problem you were trying to solve. And I don't know whether that is valuable in itself, or
who decides
is there
if
something?
It's valuable?
Yeah.
If you don't know if it's valuable, it means that the value, there is a knowledge somewhere if it's valuable or not, and you don't have this knowledge. My question is, who defines if it's valuable or not? And if I'll just rebound because it's a rhetoric question. If it's a recurring question, then there is a frustration that we don't achieve everything that we want. And this is a frustration that has to be addressed. So the meeting wasn't that great because it ends with a frustration. Let's address this frustration. If no one cares that we didn't achieve anything, we probably achieved something and we don't care about the things that we plan to achieve.
Yeah, very good point.
So now let's move on to the Spicer. So in my years in Thailand, I had a mission. And my mission was, one of them, to create, to help the company I worked with have impactful meetings. So never mind what's impact and everything. I've created a tool to help them do this, or to help whoever do this. And I want you to show a variation of the tool that we've created for the COVID era. And when I say we, I mean me and my partner Regis, who you don't see, but is present in this world, and he works with me on stuff like this. And the idea is simple. So I won't go into all the pitch of why and how. I'll just tell you one thing. The idea behind this activity is that the only effective way to learn something is by doing it at the time that you have to. So you can't learn a bike by reading a book. You can learn a bike by riding a bike and perhaps falling. You can't learn how to have an effective meeting outside of a meeting. You can learn it during a meeting, Only the problem is that if you now start talking during your meeting about how to improve your meeting, you hijack your meeting, which was supposed to be about the budget for the next quarter, and now you had a great meeting about how to have meeting. Your manager will never allow you to do this again. So the idea is, let me have 1 minute time boxed of your meeting, because you waste so much time in meetings, and I'll help you hack your meeting culture. Is this clear? I hear roaring yes. Great. Okay, so you do this by taking a file, opening it, and when you start the meeting, do you see the full screen?
No.
No.
See part of it.
No.
Now it's better.
Because part of it is probably blocked by your view, so I let you go. So when you start a meeting, you open this and you say, can someone please roll a pair of dice? So does anyone have dice here in this room? No. Okay. So Isam, can you pick a number between 1 and 6? Virginia, can you choose a number between 1 and 6 and tell me the two numbers?
6.
And Virginia?
2.
2, 6 and 2, great. So you go to row 6, column 2. Let's try this today. So this is how you start today's meeting. Let's try this today, a short speech meeting. Today, no one speaks for more than 3 minutes in a row. Okay, this is what we do in this meeting that we started now. Okay, it won't happen again. The chances that it will happen is 1 in 18. Okay, so every time you just have a draw of one activity that the team does at the beginning. And as you saw, this activity takes no more than 30 seconds. Let's choose another one just by chance. Ask someone, did you learn anything about effective meetings recently? Can you use it today? Could you quickly share it? Marwan, can you share with us some practice of effective meetings that we can try today? Try not to be on mute when you speak. This is a good practice also, by the way, for online.
Yes, awareness, presence, as you said, and time boxing.
Time boxing. So today we asked someone like Paula to do a time box. Or let's pick a third one. Here, read this card and answer aloud. What is the exact time? You do it at the beginning. Did we start at the planned time? If not, what was the delay? And ask the team, is it important? So you say, we plan to start at, I don't know what, because I don't know what your time zone. We started two minutes late. I don't think it's important. Do you think it's important? And that's it. So there's a lot of practices, and the best one, by the way, I can't find it here, is my favorite. This is the one. And by the way, what you can do also is Zoom. Let's try this today, the sound of silence. Let's share 20 seconds of silence. You heard this one before, so I took this from this game. So this is how we start a meeting, but every meeting has an end as well. So let's see how I propose that you end the meeting. It's exactly the same exercise, only now the cards are designed to help you with the end of a meeting. And I don't have the full screen, but it's okay. And just so you know, there's a link here that rolls the dice. So if you don't want to ask people, you can just open the screen that will tell you that today it's 5-5. So today, the gods of meetings decided that we do this one, 5 and 5, closing round. So today when we close, let's have a closing round, a quick round to summarize out loud, keep it short. What are my action items? Who do I share them with? And what are the deadlines? And this is an answer to Alex, a way to nudge a team to go out of a meeting realizing what do we want to do. So if you want to teach a team to do this, at the end of every meeting say, okay guys, before we leave, can you all say what are your action plans? And if people will say no, at least it will be clear that this meeting didn't have action plan, didn't have any action items. No one can deny this. The presence, the absence of action items will be visible. So I highly recommend that you use this. You can download it at my site. It's available in English and French and Spanish and Hebrew and soon German and some other languages. And I hope you enjoy it. And now let's go back to the presentation and see what I have in store. Paula, how much time do I have left?
32
1 minute.
minutes.
How much? Can you repeat?
I have 32 for this session, this part of the discussion.
So I have 32 minutes left?
Yes.
No. You have 1 minute left. No.
1
Yes.
minute left. Okay, so if I have 1 minute left, then I will not do this part with you. I would like to do with you the closure, and perhaps I will run over time, but I hope not. So a small recap of what did we learn so far. I'll just remind it to you if I manage to do the pyrotechnics. Yes, good. Okay, so what I think we learned is first, energize. We started with an energizer. Share a purpose. Make people think. So when I ask you questions, it's not for nothing. It's because I want to try to make you think what will happen and make people speak. So the purpose of the breakout rooms is not necessarily, sorry to disappoint you, to hear your ideas, but if you make people speak at the beginning of the meeting, there's a very big chance that they will allow themselves to express themselves later. Make people be seen. Presence is the key, as I said. Have clear and flexible plans, so you know where you're going. We talked about this, but allow this plan to deviate. Just like the thing that you see on the screen now. Allow parallel and offline work. Don't do all the work that you want to do as a team in a meeting. A meeting is a heavy and exhaustive resource. A presentation technique. So here you saw a presentation technique that I'm sure most of you didn't use before. Use it. It's really simple. And it's a great way for you also to plan your meetings. Time boxing techniques. So as you saw, time boxing is important. Delegate this. And this is another one. Co-facilitation and delegation. And if you have any other insights, write them on the doc for everyone to hear. And what else? Eroti, I will not do. I'll just tell you what it is. Or in fact, you know what? Why not? You can do it after the meeting. So I'll share a link with you that will allow you to vote on the meeting. Was it good? A good one or a bad one? How do I do this? I will stop the sharing, put this in the chat, and at your time, you can do this at your free time. And the last thing that I wanted to say, I won't share the screen already because we're out of time. One, you can get the meeting spicer, as I said, and two, by the way, I'm running a training for facilitators, and I would love to give about 40% off to everyone who is in this conference. So if you're interested, contact me and we'll see what happens. Let's see if I plan anything else. No, that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Dov. Thank you.